Good morning. What a good day to be together. Welcome to the First Parish Church of Concord. My name is Ken Langer, and I am your summer minister. If you are online, please feel welcome to participate fully in the chat. If you're here in person and have questions about accessibility or the building, please see our ushers or any staff member, which is pretty much me. Children are always welcome in the sanctuary. I don't see any young children, but we do have some coloring sheets in the pews. They also have the reflection question. So when we get to that point in the service, if you'd like to put a comment on there, I've been hanging them up here on the hallway out here for people to see. That includes the drawings and colorings, if you want to have that hung up for people to see. That coloring sheet is this is last week's, but it's a white sheet like this and has the question at the bottom. We also have connection cards. If you'd like to know more about us, please fill that out and put it in the offering. And we also have a Joys and Concern card, the orange one in your pew. If you have anything you would like to share with the congregation, please fill that out, and we will collect it before the sermon. Our COVID precautions are masking in the building, distancing as you wish, and increasing our ventilation. And we are glad to be a highly vaccinated community. Today we have special guest Kristen Moore on violin, Robert Brazil, is that correct, on piano, and as always the master of the keyboards, Eric Haneke. Today is Sunday, July 31st, I have the wrong date here. It is Uncommon Musical Instrument Day. Yeah, there you go. Anybody heard of a serpent? Big giant? Yeah, you know, the musicians know. August 1st, tomorrow, is a pagan holiday sometimes called Lammas or Lunasa, depending on your tradition. The theme for today's service is the myth of the straight line. In this church, we do not ask everyone to look the same, think the same, believe the same thing, or identify in the same way. What we do ask is that we respect the worth and dignity of each individual in our words, our deeds, and our actions. Unitarian Universalism lifts up the believer rather than the belief. All who believe and love are welcome here. I invite you now to take just a moment to greet your neighbor, especially if it's someone you don't recognize, and wave to our online friends. Let us now begin the service as a community of worship. This time now has never come before and shall never come again. Let us honor the uniqueness of it, the preciousness. Let us take a moment to be thankful for it, to live it, to breathe it, to be together in it. Whether this moment is a collection of sorrows, a wave of joy, or a kaleidoscope of thoughts and feelings, let us remember it is life. Let us calm the storms for this brief, sacred time, this time now that has never been before and shall never come again. We are gathered one by one, source of love, draw near. We are gathered all as one, all welcome here. May the chalice we now kindle, symbol of our living faith, inspire us to use power to heal with love, to help with compassion, to bless with joy, and to serve the spirit of freedom in the fullness of community. Please join me in the chalice lighting response in your order of service. May the chalice we now kindle, symbol of our living faith, inspire us to use our power to heal with love, to help. I just did that. Never. That's the wrong part. Now, this is what you have. O flame of our faith, open our hearts and fill our bodies and souls with persistent thought. Enliven our spirits and engage us deeply in this life of ours, this sacred, essential moment now. From the fires of each heart, to this chalice we impart many sparks to one flame, giving hope to us again. You do remember my sermon last week was about imperfection? Just reminding you. Yeah, okay. Please join us in body or spirit to rise as we sing together hymn number 323. 323. The circle of enabling love, where people grow forgiven and forgiving. Ignite that circle, make it wider still, till it includes, embraces all the living. Come wonder at this love that comes to life, where words of freedom are with humor spoken, and people keep no score of wrong or guilt, but will that human bonds remain unbroken. Join then the movement of the love that frees, till people of whatever race or nation will truly be themselves, stand on their feet, say eye to eye with laughter and elation. Please join me for a responsive reading, number 670. 670. It's in the back of the hymnal. 670. You will read the italicized parts as you so choose. Friend, I have lost the way. Is there another way? I must retrace the track. Back, I must travel back. Then I'll make here my place. Stand still and set my face. Stay here, forever stay. I cannot find the way. Oh, places I have passed, and what will come at last? I have two readings for you today. One is from Pat Conroy, an author. He writes, "No story is a straight line. The geometry of a human life is too imperfect and complex, too distorted by the laughter of time and the bewildering intricacies of fate to admit the straight line into its system of laws." And my second reading is Serpy the Snake, a story by Rajiv Tambe. Now, Serpy was a snake who slithered through the forest. And of course, he slithered back and forth. And one day he said, "Now, why am I doing all this slithering when I could just go in a straight line? I'd get there faster, easier." As much as he tried, he couldn't move in a straight line. He thought, well, let me see how other animals do it. So he looked at the birds, and the birds, they flap. And every time they flap, they'd move up, and then they come down. And they're swerving here, and they're swerving there. They're not going in a straight line. And then he went to observe the fish. And the fish were even crazier. They're zipping over here, and they got this going, and bubbles blowing, and they're rising, and they're not going in a straight line. So finally, he went over and he observed a spider. He said, spiders, they must go in straight lines. They don't go in straight. They move around on these webs. But he looked at the web and he said, straight lines. But as he got closer, he noticed they actually bent because if those web strings were too tight, they'd get broken in the wind. So they're actually bent. He said, I can't find anything that moves in a straight line. I guess I'll just go back to slithering. So he went back to slithering and slithered away in the woods. Our musical are we in the offering? Yes. Our musical offering is Sonatina, Opus 137, the Andante movement by Schubert. Thank you. That was beautiful. This is the second in a series of 4 sermons that I am giving this summer on themes from a book I've written called The Emergence of God, the Intersection of Science, Nature, and Spirituality. Last week, I talked about the myth of perfection. Today, I want to speak about the myth of the straight line. We humans love straight lines. We think they make our lives easier. How many times have you heard it said that the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line? Everybody, right? And an object in motion tends to remain in motion along a straight line. We expect lines to be able to predict where things will go. We expect them to help make things predictable. But most lives are messy and often follow along arcs that could never have been predicted or seen on early on. Our lives, like many other things, do not follow a straight line. When I was in 5th grade, I wanted to be a psychologist until I went down the street to our local neighborhood psychologist and asked him what his job was like. He told me he got up every night and had to answer phone calls in the middle of the night and never got any sleep. That was the end of that for me. Soon after, my parents gave me a trumpet, and I learned to play it, and I loved it, and I fell in love with music. I decided that music was going to be my life. And I knew I was going to be a band director. I went back to school and decided, that's early. So all through high school and college, I knew I was going to be a band director. And finally, one day, I became a band director. And I quickly found out that was not for me. So I went back to school and got graduate degrees and decided to teach college music classes. And the first time I stood up there to teach a class and I turned around to write something on the blackboard, and nothing came at my head. So, hey, this is pretty good. So I turned back around, and the students were still looking at me and listening for what I had to say. It's like, this is for me. So I taught college music for over 20 years. But all that time when I wasn't studying music, I was studying religion. And even though I enjoyed my college teaching days, something nagged at me and said I wasn't quite doing what I really wanted. So when I had the chance to jump into the ministry, I did. And here I am. So life very rarely follows along a straight path. Last week I talked about a very dangerous idea that is often used in children's stories, which is that all you have to do is get married and then you will live happily ever after. Really? There's a variation on that story that we tell our teenagers, which says basically, if you go to college, choose a career, get a good job, buy a house, raise a family, you will live happily ever after. This story makes it sound like our path in life is a clear, straight line, but rarely do our lives take such a direct route. And the reason for that is that there is no such thing as an absolute straight line. That is because lines are two-dimensional human constructs imposed on a three-dimensional world. Yet they're everywhere. Just look around you. The walls reach straight up to the ceiling, which is flat and straight. The pews in front of you are straight, and they are arranged in precise straight rows. The hymnals you sing from, look at all those lines, inside and out. And as you look up here at me, you can see straight lines everywhere. If you walk out of the building, you can see more straight lines. There are lines painted on the road. There are buildings with linear designs all over them, the chimneys, the doorways, the windows. And there are long and tall poles, electrical cables, phone towers, and signs. A lot of geometrically shaped signs with all kinds of lines painted on them. But did you notice something about all those things I just mentioned? They're all human-made objects. The British architect William Kent once said that nature abhors a straight line. Nature doesn't abhor anything, but you get the point. It's clear that straight lines are not natural. We may claim to see straight lines in nature, such as when we look at the Earth's horizon or at the surface of a crystal, but usually those things are part of an illusion. The horizon we see at the ocean or at a prairie sky is actually a very tiny part of a large circle. And though the molecules of a crystal may line up together, those lines are usually fractured and uneven, and the molecules that make them up certainly have no straight lines themselves. Nature abounds in curves, spirals, and fractals, but not straight lines. And the reason for this is that curvilinear shapes allow for growth, expansion, and creativity, while straight lines rarely do the same. Just behind me, perfect example. You see a piece of art with a column with plants surrounding it. The column, a human-made construct, is full of straight lines, but the plants around it are full of curves, and they circle around the column. The flowers and vines appear to be growing, but the column does not. Lines are used to make clear and distinct separations. Lines make divisions. Lines imply cause and direct. Lines make it seem like things must be either this or that. But nature doesn't work that way. Everything is made of spectrums of change. You can find examples of these things that seem to be in opposition, but are really the endpoints of a process of change. When exactly does day become night? When it's totally dark? Is it ever totally dark? When exactly does someone become old? My daughter, on many occasions, likes to remind me that I am old. Whereas my friends at the coffee shop I go to say that I'm young. Do you really think, what about mind and body? Where does the mind end and the body begin? Do you really think my mind cannot influence my body, or that my body does not affect my mind? There are no clear lines between these things. How you define any of these polarities depends on the relationship to whatever you are comparing them with. Lines create the appearance of separate but false dyads. Day and night, young and old, mind and body are just a few of the many things we try to divide, but which are in reality just opposite poles of a long continuum. Here's another example. Science and religion. There have been many heated battles between scientists and theologians claiming that each knows the truth, but it is possible that the truth is both religious and scientific. Both have value and significance. Science can help bring us safe and nutritious food to our tables, but it cannot add significance to that meal in the same way that a Seder, a Eucharist, the end of Ramadan, or a Sunday family dinner does. Science teaches us about life, while religion teaches us how to live. Science and religion are not binary dyads represented or separated by a clear, straight line. They are more like 2 points that hold up either side of a cosmic hammock with lots of intertwining strings between them. The straight line we impose in our thinking can cause a lot of trouble because it creates division where separation might not actually exist. Lines can also create square boxes. Boxes can then be moved and stacked so that some things become higher or take on greater significance than others. Boxes create false classifications that may be convenient for labeling, but which do not reflect reality. Consider all the packaged labels we add to such things as gender, sexuality, religious perspective, race, class, political affiliation, and I could go on and on. All of these things fall within a spectrum of possibilities, yet we insist on locking people into one definitive end or another. We know that gender identity exists on a spectrum, with people who experience their own gender in a complex variety of ways, and that those ways can be expressed in a complex variety of relationships. We also know that years of trying to force that spectrum of sexuality and gender into 2 distinct boxes has caused harm and suffering. The same can be said for race, class, and so on. The distinctions and labels made in each one of these areas are designed to separate and prioritize one classification over another, and in each case, those hierarchical divisions are false. The problem is that we like our little boxes and the lines that make their separation possible. They make thinking easy. All we have to do is throw something or someone into one of those boxes and be done with it. Aha! I can see that this person belongs in the purple box. And I know that all purple people are mean, never eat tuna fish sandwiches, and drive cars with square tires. We love our lines because they make it possible to make quick judgments about people and things. Instead of taking the time to really know and understand someone, we just look at the label posted on the box before they're shipped away to their proper category. But when you prejudge something, you are engaging in prejudice. At the same time, you are limiting yourself from the possibility of encountering a unique person and a novel experience. All of the universe is a whole, but within that whole, everything is constantly becoming something else, and everything contains a little bit of its opposite within it. Nothing is purely one thing. Classifications are false. Straight lines are an illusion. We are all wonderfully beautiful, evolving, squishy blobs of uniqueness, swirling about in an even greater and more beautiful blob of creative wonder. We are each slithering through fascinating and challenging curvilinear pathways forward. I hope you enjoy the journey. In the name of that which you hold sacred in your heart, may it be so. I invite you to reflect on the following question. Take it into your heart. There's the paper in your pews if you'd like to write a response. If you want to share it, leave it. It'll be collected after the service. And the question is this: where do you find false straight lines in your life? Our musical offering is the Liebeslied by John S. Dixon, performed by Eric. Thank you. I forgot to ask if we could collect the Joys and Sorrows cards. Was there any of those cards? Nope. Okay. Ours is a spiritual community of compassion where we find meaning and connection together. We take this time to share our concerns within the support of this beloved community. I have not anything to share with you this week, and we don't seem to have any cards, so everybody is healthy and happy, which is great. If you would like to offer prayers, encouragements, or other forms of care for those who have lifted up, please visit the Pastoral Concerns table at coffee hour or contact a member of the pastoral care team. And we have, who's here on pastoral care? One? Okay, so reach out. I invite you at this time to call out the names of those who you hold in your heart, whether in joy or in sorrow. Please join us now as we sing Spirit of Life. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. I invite you to join me now in a moment of prayer, contemplation, and reflection, followed by a moment of silence. As you are willing, in body or spirit, please close your eyes. Take in a deep breath and let it out. Concentrate on your body. Let it become relaxed from your head downward to your toes. Calm your thoughts and be present. Open your heart so that you may feel love and that you may share love. Finally, connect yourself with your own sacred principle. Spirit of life, creative presence, energy of being, sacred one, be with us and hear us. May we hold in our heart those whose joys and sorrows remain unspoken. May we continue to hold in our heart the people of Ukraine. May we hold in our hearts the people in Kentucky who are dealing with flooding. And may we hold in our heart all those joys and sorrows in our hearts. May we become the blessed community we hope to be. Let us find a moment of silence. Find a stillness, hold a stillness, let the stillness carry me. Find the silence, hold the silence, let the silence carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony. Let us now offer our gifts for the sacred and important work of this community. You can donate here in person or online. If you are a visitor here at First Parish, please consider yourself our guest and save your donation for when you get to know us. Our music is The Pavan by John S. Dixon, performed by Eric. If you would like to keep up to date on upcoming events and activities here at First Parish, please read or sign up to receive our weekly newsletter that comes out every Friday. I believe you can do that online. Please join us for coffee outside together. We'll be out there on the outside porch out there. There you will find information about the worship sharing circle and a welcome table for anyone interested in finding out more about us. The easiest way to join is to exit this side door after the service or the front door and to the right. Please rise in body or spirit and join in singing our closing hymn, number 148. 148. span both east and west, and love both south and north. In universal fellowship throughout the whole line. In beauty, wonder everywhere, let us communion find. Compassion be the golden goal, whose lining beyond all barriers of race, of color, caste, or creed, let us make friendship human with our common faith and then east and west will meet and share, and south shall build with north. What human commonwealths My friends, go in peace and return to beauty. Go in kindness and return to friendship. Go in love and return to compassion. Go in hope and return to wholeness. Go in faith and return to sacred community. May it be so. Please have a seat and enjoy our prelude, postlude. We're going to start all over again. The postlude. Oh, I'm sorry. Imperfection again. Please join me in saying our benediction together. Go out in the world in peace. Have courage. Hold on to what is good. Return to no person evil for evil. Strengthen the faint-hearted. Support the weak. Help the suffering. Honor all beings. May it be so. I promise I'll get this all worked out sometime in the next few weeks. Our postlude is the Sonatina, Opus 137, the Allegro Vivace movement by Schubert. Amen.